Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. It's not every day that you can reenact a famous scene from a play in public and scream, but that's what happens at the Stella and Stanley shouting contest. Some people even buy a new t-shirt so they can tear it as they scream, Stella!
Hey, Stella!
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 The scene, of course, is from Streetcar Named Desire. It's one of the many attractions at the Tennessee Williams and New Orleans Literary Festival. Here to explain how they came up with this idea is one of the founders, Peggy Scott Laborde. She also hosts a weekly arts and entertainment news show in New Orleans called Steppin' Out. Peggy, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you so much. And we're so thrilled that you had an interest in that aspect of the festival. And it's hard to believe, but the festival is going to be in its 36th year in March. But about 10 years into it, we realized that, as you well know, good talk is very important, but it doesn't make good pictures. And so one night, my husband and I were watching our 10 o'clock news locally in New Orleans, and the feature event was the road manager to Dr. John, who was a famous New Orleans musician. His road manager got married with a cockatoo on her shoulder on a Harley Davidson. Okay, now how visual can you get?
I can picture that.
You can picture that. It's a good picture.
What marital bliss. Who wouldn't want to get married on a motorcycle with a cockatoo on your shoulder?
Cockatoo, you know? So we realized that we needed to, even though we had a wonderful festival, it was more about talk. Even though we do have theater, it's a theater and literary festival. And I am proud to say that I came up with the idea of, well, wait a minute. One of the most important and well-known American plays, if not on the world, best known in the world, is Streetcar Named Desire, which it's the 75th anniversary, and we're going to be doing a lot about that. So how about we have a friend, we had a member of our board, and we're a nonprofit, who had an apartment on Jackson Square, which is in the middle of New Orleans' French Quarter. So we had someone dressed as Stanley and Stella on the balcony, okay, and 25 contestants, mostly guys, okay, but it could be a girl yelling, Stella. And of course, that is, the shot that's heard around the world. That was the yell that was heard around the world. And even if you don't like Tennessee Williams, you like yelling Stella.
Well, so what's it like watching this shouting contest? It seems like people stepping up at a golf range and hitting a golf ball. There's another person coming up, stepping up and shouting, Stella, 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 Stella. How do you judge whether somebody said Stella the right way?
It's totally subjective, of course. But let me tell you about some of the more interesting participants. We had a mime one year.
A mime?
He yelled Stella, but we couldn't hear him. He came in third place.
Thank God.
We had a family all in, those muscle-like, those T-shirts that, that of course Marlon Brando made famous. It was an entire family, mom, dad, and 3 little kids. And they all yelled Stella and took off their, they ripped their shirts. Okay. So they were semifinalists. We had a guy starting to yell Stella, and then his phone rang, and so it's like he said, "Excuse me, just 1 minute," and he took a call, which was hysterical. So we've had quite the variety of contestants, but I can tell you, usually the winners ends up being somebody who looks a little bit like a hunk. But not exclusively. We've had digressions from that, but sometimes they do look like Marlon Brando.
I see. So it's not only the shouting contest, but the similarity in looks.
Well, it doesn't have to be, because we've also had, if your yell is really, really good, then sometimes it doesn't matter what you look like. If you've got a great yell, if you have a piercing yell, and we also have women who yell, Stella. Okay, so it's that yell. It's looks don't does that it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't preclude from being a winner.
Is there an audience?
Oh, yes. Because remember, we're doing this from a balcony and people are below. And so we do have quite the crowd. Now, this year, with COVID, well, of course, we'll be very sensitive to that. And we're just going to have to ask for people, to be separated a little bit more than usual because we're very mindful of it.
But so what would I see if I was there? I mean, here's somebody on the balcony.
Uh-huh.
And is the person shouting down below?
Yes.
And am I just standing in the
below.
street?
This is along what we call Jackson Square, and that street isn't closed off. It's like a mall. It's sort of like a mall. But we're talking about, this area, this complex is all built in the early 1800s. So you're in the heart of New Orleans. So, and right by the river, by the Mississippi River. So it's very, very picturesque.
So what's the weirdest thing you've seen there at the festival?
Well, I would certainly say the mime. That sort of surprised me. And the mime, I forgot to say, was spray painted gold. Huh. So his face was gold. All of his clothing was gold. And so I found that to be a little rather unique.
But how can you give a third place to somebody that doesn't shout?
That's right. He was a semifinalist. So he either won second or third place. We like the ingenuity. We appreciate creativity too, sir.
What's the funniest thing that happened?
Oh, one time this guy, his shriek was so shocking. And then let me just say he wasn't in the best of shape. And he did tear off his T-shirt. So that was a little like, maybe a little bit too much information, But people, they're really in good spirits for this. And it's really all in good fun.
So what do people tell you why they entered the contest?
Well, we have prizes. We actually have prizes.
Well, what, like a trip to Paris or a Oldsmobile or what?
No, some of them are trophies, and they look like bowling trophies because you remember Stanley at the beginning of Streetcar is bowling. He goes bowling. And so the trophy looks like a bowling trophy, plus Stella d'Artois beer. We've given away Stella beer. And T-shirts and tote bags and caps, with the Tennessee Weems Festival logo on it.
Okay.
But it's all about Tennessee, but it's more than Tennessee because, of course, you're in New Orleans. So we have, that weekend. It's a long weekend, and it kicks off on Thursday. It goes through Sunday, and Sunday afternoon is when we have the contest. But it's really a mix of panels and theater and conversations we have over 50 events, and we have 75 writers. So some come in from out of town. We have Pulitzer Prize winner Rick Bragg. We have Tony Award winner Michael Cerveris and Kathleen Turner, wonderful Kathleen Turner, who played Maggie. And so it's lots of fun.
That is really interesting. So that it's a real literary festival in addition to being the shouting contest.
Yes, it is.
But getting back to the main event here of this interview, the shouting contest.
Yeah.
Have you served as a judge in this?
I do serve as a judge. I am one of the judges.
So you know what you're looking for, right?
I do. Okay. But I also appreciate creativity. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let me tell you, can I do my best Stella impression? And you critique me and tell me how I did? I mean, maybe give me some few pointers. What could I have done better? Okay, are you all right with that?
I'm prepared.
Okay, I'll give you 3. And you tell me which one you like the best and why.
All right.
Stella. Stella!
The second one. There was a lot of energy there and a
You
lot
like
of
that.
heart and emotion.
Well, good. So would I have won?
You would have definitely been up there. I would not have
you
been
say
the
that
only
to all the
judge.
contestants. You encourage everybody that way. That's okay. Well, if I'm ever down there, I probably will swallow my pride and enter. So that sounds great. So tell us about Tennessee Williams. Where did he write A Streetcar Named Desire, and what was his connection to New Orleans?
I will be glad to share that with you. How about, this is so perfect. It's such good karma. How about a block and a half away from where we do the shouting contest? Isn't that incredible?
Really?
We are on St. Peter Street, and where he rented an apartment in 1946 and 47 is a block and a half away. And he was on a third floor apartment. And out of his window, he talked about looking down and seeing that rattle-trap old streetcar, because a streetcar named Desire actually went through the quarter, which we call the quarters, the French Quarter, okay? And so initially, the name of the play was The Poker Night, because there's a big scene of them playing poker. Stanley and his buds are playing poker.
Right.
But he looks down at the streetcar, and the story is that he realizes what a great metaphor for life. A streetcar named Desire. So hence, but a block and a half away, I've been in that apartment. And let me tell you, Tennessee Williams enjoyed his cocktails, all right? And one of his favorite cocktails was a Brandy Alexander. And getting up those stairs, he must have really been made of strong stuff, because getting to that apartment is not easy. But that's where he wrote Streetcar Named Desire, just a block and a half away, the 600 block of St. Peter. There's a plaque. It's right near, if you go to New Orleans, it's right next to the gumbo shop. You can't forget that.
Okay. So, Peggy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Jambalaya or gumbo?
I like gumbo. Jambalaya is good, but I like gumbo because you can get all different kinds of gumbo. Seafood gumbo, chicken gumbo, andouille gumbo, which is a Cajun sausage. So you can do a lot more things. But jambalaya, I wouldn't turn that down.
Well, when I come down to the Tennessee Williams Festival, I want all of them.
Well, they're right there. They're all within a few feet away from where the contest is. And of course, we've got, as you probably know, we've got great restaurants in New Orleans. And we are going to be located at the Hotel Montleon. That's our headquarters, which is in the quarter. And everything is a few blocks from each other, almost a few yards. It's very convenient.
Well, when I come down to the Tennessee Williams Festival, I want all of them. Peggy, thanks so much for being here and telling us about New Orleans. Tennessee Williams and the Stella and Stanley shouting contest.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I've been speaking with one of the founders of the festival, Peggy Scott Laborde. Peggy also hosts a weekly arts and entertainment show about New Orleans called Steppin' Out. To find more, visit our Facebook page. It's American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley. Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on. Bye-bye.
Hey, Stella! Stella!
Stella!
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm from London in the United Kingdom, England, and I just want to say, Stella!
Stella! Stella!
Stella! Stella! Stella!
What's your name? Whose birthday's tomorrow?
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.